Here comes a new challenger!
Hello everyone, and welcome to the road to E3, and in this episode, I will be covering Nintendo. Though, considering the circumstances of how much I involve myself with Nintendo and Nintendo-related content, I decided that this video really won't be edited unless I have the chance to. I mean, it's just how it is. I mean, obviously there's going to be those typical gameplay and music playing in the background, but I have a lot to go through, a lot of franchises I want to talk about. So, please forgive me for that. But let's begin already, shall we? So, starting off, let's begin with the things I kind of expect to see. One is Breath of the Wild 2. I expect to see a trailer, a little tease, and then they'll probably say, like, tune in to, like, a Zelda themed direct in which we go over the entirety of Breath of the Wild 2, what will be there, the mechanics of the game, new mechanics, how they moved on old mechanics, and maybe even a release date. I'm not too sure on that one, but I think it'd be interesting. Another thing I kind of want to see or expect to see is Metroid related things. I want to see a Metroid Prime 4, trailer, right? Something to actually grasp onto. Of course, if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. It is what it is. You can't really stop Nintendo if they want to show something or not. It just happens, okay? Now, as for something else, I would love to see that rumored Metroid 2D game, right? Made by Mercury Studios, I believe, the same ones who did the remake for Metroid 2, Samus Returns. If they are making a new 2D Metroid, I'd like to see what they would do with it. After all, the last Metroid game in terms of that timeline is Fusion. Fusion is the last game, and, well, without spoiling anything, in the end of Metroid 2, they might hint at things that go beyond Fusion. I mean, they reference Fusion, but we'll see what happens. Maybe it'll be a Fusion remake. Who knows? But I would like to see what they'd have in store for us. I think it'd be very interesting. And lastly, when it comes to Metroid, I would like to see the Metroid Prime trilogy. That is something that should be on the Switch already, but hey, it takes time. These things take time, and you never know, right? So that's sort of like the things I expect to see. Now let's go into like things that are most likely to happen to come from Nintendo. We're only talking first party, of course, so let's get started. Let's talk about Mario. Now, with Mario, I mean, we just had Bowser's Fury, of course, but maybe it's time we see Mario Kart 9, right? Mario Kart? Nah, no, I'm not gonna do it. But when it comes to Mario Kart, I mean, it is obviously a popular franchise, and Deluxe is the best-selling game on the Switch, though that could also be just because the game was bundled with the Switch so much. It might as well have been the bundled game, just like how Wii Sports was, well, for the Wii, even though, like, whatever. Anyways, I was gonna bring up 1-2 Switch, but regardless, when it comes to Mario, I mean, what can we really see from Mario? Well, I think it is possible we can see I don't want to call it Odyssey 2, but let's just call it Odyssey 2 for, the sake of giving an example, right? I think we'll see like a new 3D Mario platforming game in the style of Odyssey, right? The controls, maybe improve upon the controls, have a new character, an ally, Cappy might get replaced. I mean, that's just how things are with Nintendo. I think Cappy was a great extension of Mario's abilities, but at the end of the day, Nintendo's always been like, well, we need a gimmick, so let's see how we can add a gimmick to this new game. Which is an unfortunate reality of Nintendo is, but hey, what can I say? I don't work in Nintendo. I can't make them, keep things from previous games. So we'll see what like new gimmick they'll have. I just hope that it's an extension of Mario's abilities, which, I mean, obviously they will be, right? I mean, Galaxy, you had the twirl, right? The twirl was essentially an extension of Mario's abilities, right? In 64, you had all these different things, but they were an extension of Mario's abilities, right? Because before then, all you knew was jump, duck, and throw a fireball, I think. But hey, Mario changes, he evolves, right? And so I think it'd be very interesting to see that come to fruition. I don't know if I doubt the game would come out this year, obviously, but I don't know if it'd come out like early next year or late next year. I just think that we will be seeing at least a tease for the next major Mario game, along with Mario Kart 9, possibly. And just to throw in a little bonus, they might show like, oh, here's Mario Golf, right? That game's coming out soon. Hey, pick it up, So maybe we'll see. Maybe we'll see some of that. Maybe. Next, let's talk about Kirby. Kirby, HAL Labs already said we're making a Kirby game. It's good because, you know, this year's the anniversary for Kirby. There's gonna be a Kirby game, but what kind of Kirby game, all right? You know, they already said it's happening, but what kind of Kirby game? And I think that Kirby will finally have a 3D platformer. Now, here's the thing. I never cared that the previous games were 2D. I mean, as long as they were good and not boring, like Star Allies was, right? I mean, let's face it, Star Allies was kind of boring. But it wasn't bad. It was just like, okay, I'd rather be playing a different Kirby game. But I think that having a 3D Kirby game would be interesting. And they already had like essentially a test for it, as I believe it was Planet Robobot had a 3 mini game, right, where you play as Kirby in a 3D space, and all you did was inhale and spit out the stars as projectiles. So I think that, you know, they kind of already have that testing ground there. They already have something there to work off of and expand off of. So I think it'd be interesting to see that. Of course, if it is another 2D Kirby game, well, I just hope it's better than Star Allies. I think Star Allies, in my opinion, is one of the weaker Kirby games to come out as of recent because, yeah, it has a lot of characters that are fun to play as, but at the end of the day, if it's boring, it's boring, right? No amount of crazy characters is gonna make me go, whoa, about the game, you know? But hey, that's just my opinion. I don't know how you guys feel about that. Next up, Fire Emblem. I know people hate that word, that 2 words put together, but I do think we'll be seeing a Fire Emblem remake in this E3 potentially. After all, with the success of Three Houses, I don't see why they wouldn't show this game at E3, right, if there is a remake coming. And who knows, maybe even something like a port for Path of Radiance, Radiant Dawn. That's what I'm kind of hoping for, an HD port of Path of Radiance and Radiant Dawn, even though they deserve remakes, because without spoiling much, let's just say the Black Knight really deserved more at the end of Radiant Dawn. All right, that's just me, that's my opinion. Alright, but if I think we're getting a remake of games, I think it's probably going to be Genealogy, and hopefully Thracia on top of that. I mean, Thracia is a side story to Genealogy. It doesn't make sense to separate them as 2 separate remakes, right? I mean, maybe back then, right, they just didn't have the space to add all the Thracia content, right, and just put it into one game. Sort of like how with Sonic 3, it was split into 2 games. You know, Genealogy and Thracia had to be split into 2 different games because they just couldn't all fit in one cart. So, you know, with this opportunity, modern technology, I would hope to see these 2 games in actually one game, right? Because again, it's just a side story, right? And people can say, well, Gaiden was a side story. Yeah, but Gaiden doesn't necessarily add anything to FE1 and 3, right? I mean, yeah, you see Zeke and who he becomes in FE3 and all this sort of stuff, but right now, in my opinion, the way I see it, I would like to see Genealogy and Thracia put into one game if it is getting remade. I mean, you might as well. Most of the characters are shared between games, whereas in FE1 and 2, like, yeah, you have like 4 characters, and that's pretty much it from my recollection. But hey, you know what? Opinions are opinions. Everyone's got them, right? So hopefully we see like a remake of sorts, because obviously Three Houses really came out. So I think a remake would be right for the taking. And plus, Genealogy, beloved game, all right, by the fan base, and I think people would be interested in playing a game that has never come to the West. So that would be kind of cool, in my opinion, right? And now let's talk about a potential, you know, this is kind of like now we're kind of transitioning into wishful thinking, what games I would really hope to see may not have a chance of showing up, but who knows, right? So let's start off with Kid Icarus. This year is the anniversary of Kid Icarus, and I would love to see maybe like a remake of the first 2 Kid Icarus games. I think that'd be interesting. Maybe, you know, I say remake as in like kind of like that retro style where it's like it's the old game but kind of like better graphics, similar to Mario All-Stars, how Mario All-Stars were just 16-bit recreations of the NES games. I think that would be great to have for Kid Icarus. personally though, if they were to get remade, I would love them to be remade in the style of Uprising. I know that's wishful thinking, but you know, I'm always about wishful thinking. So hey, I would just love to see something for Kid Icarus, especially after Uprising. I know Sakurai is working on Smash, but man, do I really love what they did with Kid Icarus, and I can't wait. Really, no, I can't wait, right, to just see more of Kid Icarus. I think it has amazing writing and all that fun stuff, and if you haven't played it on the 3DS, I highly suggest it. It's an amazing game even now. And since we're on wishful thinking, let's get started with, well, wishful thinking. Let's start off with F-Zero. I'll save my personal one for last, right? So let's start with F-Zero. F-Zero is an amazing franchise, all right? I love it, all right? I love F-Zero. I fell in love with the series, and now I feel the pain of just wanting a new game. I was always bothered by, you know, Miyamoto saying, oh well, it's just that the Wii U controls wouldn't work for F-Zero. You know, essentially saying we couldn't come up with a gimmick, so we didn't make it. You know what I mean? There's no way to make F-Zero stand out, but it doesn't need to stand out. All you need to do is make new, exciting levels to go through, have an online system where everyone can play together and race each other out and blow each other's cars off and destroy them while having this high-speed racing action, all right? With all this really hype music just making you feel excited. I want that. I don't care about no stupid gimmicks. I just want a new game, alright? Can you blame a man? I mean, F-Zero's great, and it's an amazing franchise, and if you haven't played it, I highly suggest it. Even the SNES game has aged pretty well, even though it's not multiplayer, which sucks, but hey, it's great. And hey, if you have SNES Online, you know, or Nintendo Online, you might as well get it, right? Try it out. I assure you, you won't regret it. And, you know, playing some of the other F-Zero games, of course, though, considering that the only way to really get them is through, let's just say a funny little thing called emulation. There's no real way for you to get them, as far as I'm aware. And I wouldn't bother trying to get a Wii U to find out. You know what I mean? So, that's just my opinion, you know, that's my opinion. But I think F-Zero should come back. Next on the wishful thinking lineup is Mother. Oh my goodness, why is Mother 1 and 2 not on Switch, right? Earthbound Beginnings had a special announcement in one of Nintendo's tournaments, and they revealed it to an audience. And that audience was so happy to see, you know, this game finally coming to the West, because it always had a script, right? It always had a script, and, you know, when it has a script, all that basically means is just port the game, right? It's similar to how Star Fox 2 was always, well, said to be done, but they never released it until, you know, the SNES mini console, right, retro system, and then they released Star Fox 2 on SNES Online, but not Mother 2 and 1. That kind of makes me think something suspicious is going on with that, and in my personal opinion, it's either A, they want to release a Mother collection, or B, they're just taking forever, alright? But the Mother collection is plausible. Now, Mother 3, of course, is the one game everyone wants to see, but for me personally, what I would love to see is Nintendo try to remake Mother 1 and 2 in the style of, like, this, it's kind of like arts and crafts-ish style. It was for the N64 around that. It looked really cool, and so I would like to see something like that. I believe it was N64 or GameCube, around that area, but I think it'd be very interesting. And of course, there is that, I don't know what it's called, but it's essentially celebrating Mother as a franchise, and it had like a bunch of comics and a bunch of merchandise, and the only things to ever get referenced is Mother 1 and 2, so I think it's quite plausible to have Mother 1 and 2 be remade, right, from the ground up, having all these wonderful graphics and having like this unique art style that makes it pop. And I just think it'd be great. Then again, Nintendo is lazy in porting these games because they are. I don't know why, but hey, I guess we'll soon find out whatever happens to the Mother series. Now this part is super wishful thinking. I would love, for these two things, I want a new Starfy game. That is not happening at E3. And I want a new Yoshi's Island that is based on the SNES game, right? Never gonna happen, alright? But I love Yoshi Island on the SNES. I liked the DS game. I mean, yeah, the DS game had problems, alright, but I would still say I enjoyed it very much. And we have the new games like Crafted World and Yarn, and no. I want a Yoshi game that has great level design, levels that will always keep you on your toes, just making you move quick. I love being able to move quickly. All right, having those breaks obviously within levels, but having these quick reaction timing things, I just think it'd be nice to have, obviously, and you know, make some things easier to do, like not have to get everything in the one run, you know. But hey, that's just my opinion, you know. As to say, it's just my opinion. And with that being said, you know, Starfy, hey, Starfy would be great though, Nintendo, you know. I mean, I like Starfy, and me liking Starfy. Another thing that seems unrealistic is Sin and Punishment. Never gonna happen. But hey, doesn't mean I don't want it. Advance Wars, I want it. Never gonna happen. Hey, you know, that's just what happens when you bargain with Nintendo. You give them your cash and they say not enough money, then your franchise slowly disappears from all existence. Quite unfortunate story, but it is the reality. Now, moving on, we have one last thing to talk about. Alright, you know, there are other things I could have talked about, but like with Pokemon, Nintendo doesn't really show Pokemon in their E3s. I don't remember when was the last time they did, so yeah, I don't expect to see Pokemon E3. And so, with all that being said, what is the one game that is wishful thinking, but I want to see more than anything else I ever talked about in this entire video, right? Because like, obviously they're gonna have the 2 Smash reveals. I think there's gonna be 2. Right? I mean, it's possible it's just 1, and then tune in this day for the final reveal, right? I think that's possible. But me personally, I want Golden Sun. I want Golden Sun. I want Golden Sun 4. I'm tired of seeing Camelot make all these stupid sports games, alright, when they left me in a cliffhanger in Dark Dawn. Literally, alright? You may not care about Golden Sun, and that's fine. But imagine watching your favorite TV show, right? Or playing your favorite game. And imagine at the end of that game, alright, villain pops up and fires at the main protagonist. And then you see all the characters, their friends, huddle up. It's like, no, this can't be. And then the screen starts turning black. You don't know if he's dead or alive. They don't say he's dead. They don't say he's alive. It just cuts to black credits. Then you gotta wait for the next game until it comes out in the next 20 years. All right. Let me tell you, it's similar to waiting from Shenmue 2 to Shenmue 3. The only problem with Shenmue 2 to Shenmue 3 is that Shenmue 3 has no progress. Am I right? Yeah, but that's the analogy I'm giving. Or me personally, like, let me give you another example. All right. I followed a series, alright? This is gonna sound really weird in the video, like if you take this out of context, but Hot Wheels Accelerations, right? That series, oh man, it was crazy, right? As a kid, I loved watching that. I don't know why, but I did. I loved it. It's a great series. I revisited it. It's amazing, alright? And they kind of had like these chapters, you can think of it like that. You know, they had like 4 movies or something like that, and there was supposed to be a 5th movie, but then it got canceled, and thus we don't know what happened to Vert at the end of the 4th movie. So yeah, and I was left at a cliffhanger. I was like, I can't wait for the 5th one. I can't wait to see what happens to Vert Wheeler at 20. Must probably been around, no, not 20, but less than 20 years. All right, it's been over a decade since then, and nothing. Imagine waiting for a book for your favorite story, and when you reach the end, it leaves you in a cliffhanger. I can't wait for the next. Oh wait, what do you mean it's never coming out? Right? So while you may not care for Golden Sun, you can at least understand my plea when all I want is, I don't know, a sequel to a game that kind of ends abruptly, you know, has like this cliffhanger, and I just want it, okay? I love Golden Sun. I love the characters in Golden Sun, and yeah, Dark Dawn had problems, right? I really didn't like when they had moments of points of no return, right? And the game was, you know, the main campaign was essentially easy, but still, okay, still, I want a new Golden Sun game, alright? I love the characters, I love the story, and I'm getting tired of Camelot working on Mario sports games, alright? You may have fun with them, alright, but you had years of those. I had years of nothing, okay? And I love the Mario sports games, don't get me wrong, they're great games too, alright? But at the end of the day, I just want a sequel to one of my favorite series. And on top of that, you know, I also would like to see Isaac in Smash, which obviously that probably won't happen for this Smash game, but hey, you know, maybe for the next one, right? You know, I mean, Isaac is an eventuality in my opinion. I think Isaac from Golden Sun will show up in Smash someday, but until that someday happens, alright, I at least want a new game, I want a new experience, and I'm tired of waiting on Camelot. You know what the worst part is, alright? This is why my hatred for Nintendo Treehouse has never left. I hate Nintendo Treehouse for this, alright? Let me tell you guys a little secret, right? So, you guys remember that Mario Tennis game, right? Well, who remembers it had a story mode? Who remembered it had a story mode, right? So in the story mode, right, there's a section in the game, and when you enter it, it's like this tower thing or like this temple looking thing, right? And they named it some random nonsense in the Americanized version, but in the Japanese, you know what they called it? They called it the I believe it was the Solar Sanction, right? The Solar Sanction, one of the most important places you'll go to in Golden Sun. And they know it was a Golden Sun reference because they interviewed the brothers who make Golden Sun, who essentially worked the Camelot since the beginning. You know, they interviewed them. It's like, hey, you know, we had this Golden Sun references. Yeah, we had this Golden Sun reference. That means Mario is an adept. Yeah, Mario got, you know, he got his earth, or no, he got fire. You know, he summoned volcanoes. All right, he gets the sword, gets a crit, and summons the sun. All right. Which, by the way, actually does happen in Golden Sun, right? You know? And maybe that might convince you in trying out the previous games. What if I told you that you literally have a summon, alright, in Dark Dawn only, alright, where it's Thor, alright? Now, Thor, you guys know Thor, God of Thunder or Lightning, one of the two. I don't remember which one, it's been a while, but Thor, right, wields the mighty Mjolnir, okay? And Mjolnir, you know, in the first two games, someone's lightning, whatever. But in the third game, all right, hear me out. You got to hear me out, okay? I know I'm going a bit fast, but I just want you to hear me out, okay? So imagine, hear me out, okay? Thor riding, surfing on Mjolnir, right? On a big Mjolnir. He's surfing on it. Then he grabs that Mjolnir, turns it into a drill, and smites your enemies. Come on, how is that not convincing you to want to at least try out the game? With that all being said, that's what I want from Nintendo E3. Please fulfill my wishes, Nintendo. And if I had to say something for the Smash stuff, I will be making a video on the two characters I will be predicting and the reasons why for them in that video. Originally, I was going to make like a really big one, a certain ninja, but I think I will instead make my predictions as who I think will be the next two characters. With that all being said, please take care of yourselves, and as always, have an amazing rest of your day. Take care of yourselves, and peace.
I'm coming through, partner, we can do this right. You're the fire, I'm the wind tonight. Burning dread, haha, that's right, baby, baby.